is time for some chocolatey, delicious dessert. And we are going to make some raw cacao pudding. Now, pudding, you say? Shall we slave over the stove, watching to be sure that the milk doesn't scald? Or shall we switch in the dairy fats and take some avocado fats in their place? Much better for our skin, much better for the environment, and I think that you'll find they'll taste just as good, if not better, than conventional pudding. So in order to get the fats out of this avocado and turn them into our delicious pudding, we are going to need a high-powered blender. Your average blender is not going to get the trick done for this, I am afraid. So all of you who have invested in a Blendtec or a Vitamix get the big payoff in the form of a delicious chocolate pudding. So let's get started. I have one avocado in the Vitamix already, and I have another one here in my hand. We're just gonna see if I can't get this thing open. There we go. And we're gonna squeeze them right into the blender. We don't have to slice them, we don't have to dice them, we don't have to do anything. The Vitamix will do all of the hard work. So let's just get those right in there. Okay, now we have the fats of the avocado, so that means we know that we're going to have a creamy, delicious chocolate pudding. But how are we going to make it chocolatey? Do we want some dead enzymes, old school chocolate? We want the most out of that chocolate that we can get. And we've all heard that chocolate is good for us, but it's even better when we eat it in its raw form. Chocolate has some amazing mineral content. It's particularly high in things that our soil has been depleted of here in the US. So it's great to get plenty of cacao in your diet. Now, raw cacao may wake you up a little bit like chocolate. I find that the raw does not kind of get me crazy like eating conventional chocolate does, but it definitely will wake you up. So if you're planning on having this for dessert late at night, probably not your best choice. If you have your dinner early in the evening, then a dessert after that would be fine. My favorite is to use this as an after-school snack for when my perfect little guy Maverick and I get home from his little preschool. So we put a quarter cup of the raw cacao, and now we're gonna make it extra creamy by adding a little bit of coconut oil. I'm using the Dr. Bronner's coconut oil. I am a big fan, not only of them and what their family is doing for GMOs and labeling, making sure that that gets labeled. I'm very, very behind that cause, but also just labeling in general. Even their communications with Whole Foods have been really amazing. So I love supporting their product, and it's really delicious. Now we're gonna need to make it sweet. You can sweeten this with an agave if that's more your thing. I like to use maple or a coconut syrup. Today I have maple. Maple's gonna give it a little bit richer flavor. Coconut's gonna be a little bit lighter. So I like to use maple for this. Now maple is not raw, so if you want a raw product, that's not the best choice for you. To accentuate the chocolate, we want to add just a pinch of salt. And then I like to add just a little bit of cinnamon. Now that's just sort of a matter of taste. You don't have to add it in there, but I like it in there. Because I'm going to eat this with strawberries, I'm not going to add another sort of secret ingredient that I generally add to the pudding, and that is cayenne. When I'm going to eat this pudding with more like nuts and bananas, especially when I eat it in the winter, I like to add a hearty dash of cayenne and get that nice little burn edge to the chocolate. So test those out. Another great thing to put in here is mint. If you have fresh mint leaves from your garden, great. If not, a little organic mint extract is another great way to serve it. Obviously, you don't want the cinnamon in there with the mint, but just kind of use this recipe I'm giving you as a base, and then find some fun ways to play with it. There's also a raw caramel recipe that, oh my gosh, if you really want to go nuts, take this pudding and drizzle a little bit of that caramel over it. You'll definitely bring the house down. Okay, so let's get this in the blender and get it going. We are going to have to use, most likely, our plunger. Very infrequently does it actually do the job on its own and spin around, so we'll be prepared for that, but let's see if it does it on its own today. The trick to getting it on its own is not to start at a high temperature, to leave it right down at 1 until the whole thing looks sort of soupy and muddy. Once all of the cacao is wet, then you can crank it up slowly, and you're more likely not to have to fuss with it at all. With your plunger, I mean. There we go. Got lucky today. Okay, so you'll know that it's done when it actually can come up around the edges and fold in toward the middle on its own. So it sort of looks like a 4-leaf clover if you're looking down out of the top. And that's pretty much, if you're using the Vitamix or the Blendtec, that's when you know that you've got the perfect mixture going on, when it's coming up around the edges and back down toward the middle. You know if you're trying to make something creamy or you're trying to make something really smooth, job well done, you've got it. So let's go ahead and bring this down here. I'm just gonna taste it because it smells really good and I want to. Oh my God, it's delicious. Okay. So we could serve this as is, as a delicious and slightly messy chocolate pudding, or we could top it with some fresh fruit, some bananas, some nuts. Today I'm going to top it with some strawberries and pecans, but I want to let you know one other way that's really fun to serve this, and kids love this. It's funny, my niece and nephew won't touch avocados with a 10-foot pole, but they will eat this pudding any time of day, and I don't let them in the kitchen when I am making it. So if you have kids that are averse to vegetables and they catch you, then you may want to be doing this in secret. But the other idea that I wanted to share with you is that I will divide this into little frozen popsicle makers that have the little popsicle shape and then has a little stick sticking out. If we divide this into the popsicle makers, and Maverick loves to help with this, he loves avocado, so he doesn't give me any complaints about the chocolate pudding. He just wants to know when we're going to make it again. So we'll put it into little popsicles and stick the popsicle holders in there, and then we put them in the freezer. And when they come out, they taste like fudgesicles. I don't know if any of you grew up on fudgesicles, but I certainly did, and I miss them. And when I tried this for the first time, I thought, wow, oh my gosh, none of that crazy stuff that is currently in a fudgesicle. And trust me, when we were kids, fudgesicles did not have high fructose corn syrup, but they do now. I think just to make sure this is good before I serve it, I should probably test it out and make sure one more time. Oh my gosh, it's perfect. The combination, the strawberry, the chocolate, just a little dash of cinnamon, it's perfect. Okay, so now we're just gonna take the strawberry right here. We're going to slice it up really pretty for you. And we're gonna put that right on there. There we go. Let's see if we can make this look pretty for you. It's chocolate pudding, so I guess it technically doesn't have to look pretty because it's so delicious. It's just sort of a little prerequisite for me. Okay, then we're gonna add some nuts on here. There we go. Okay, perfect. So that is our delicious chocolate pudding. I'm just gonna taste it and make sure it tastes good with the nuts, because you never know. Sometimes you throw some pecans in there, things get crazy, it doesn't taste good anymore. Good news, it tastes delicious. I hope you enjoy the raw cacao pudding as much as me and my family do.